So, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to this Seanergy conference. Okay. I'm going to talk today about major component replacement challenges, but focused on floating offshore wind. I'm Natalia, and yeah, I will be presenting today on behalf of SKYBORN. So first of all, I would like to give you an introduction of SKYBORN. After talk about a bit the floating offshore wind O&M. And afterwards, one of the O&M topics, the major component replacement, give you an overview of two R&D projects that we have integrated, and then some closing remarks. So SKYBORN is an agile global offshore wind developer. We are an agile company. We adapt ourselves through different inconvenience or different things that arise throughout the project. We are a global company. We have a worldwide team, and nowadays really doesn't matter where you are sitting if you are working as a unity. For us, the offshore wind is a really, we think that this will help global decarbonization, and we are led by a team that has more than 10 years of experience. We are also a partner that has in global 20 more years than experience, and we are worldwide 350 employees. We are today part of global infrastructure partners and have currently 6 projects in operation and under construction. So I would like to give you an overview of our global pipeline that is around 30 gigawatts today. So first of all, like the 3 projects that you see here in black, these projects are under operation, and they have a total capacity of 447 megawatts. Then we have 3 other projects, the 126, 11, and 12. These 3 projects are under construction. We have Yunlin project that has a total capacity of 640 megawatts, and this will be the first commercial offshore wind power project in Taiwan. We will be installing 80 turbines in total. The distance from shore to the wind park is around 8 kilometers, and this will be providing energy for around, electricity, for around 605,000 households. The construction of this park started in 2019. Then we have 2 other parks here in France. The first one is Fécamp, that has a total capacity of 497 megawatts. These 2 farms are located in the Normandy region, and for Fécamp we will have 71 wind turbines, a distance to shore that will be between 13 and 24 kilometers, and this will be providing electricity for 707,000 people. The construction started in 2020 for this one. And then the last one is Calvados. This wind farm has a capacity of 450 megawatts, and we will be installing also 64 wind turbines. The distance to shore for this wind farm is around 10 kilometers, and the renewable energy that it will be providing is for around 630,000 people. The construction of this wind farm started in 2021, and we are hoping to finalize those constructions in the coming years. So in the context today, we are discussing about bottom fixed and going a bit further from the shore. We have water depths that are increasing, so the floating wind industry is growing really quickly, and this is one of the interests of SKYBORN today. We are participating in tenders not only in France but also worldwide. So we want to develop this expertise around floating, not only around bottom fixed but also in floating and regarding O&M challenges and major component replacement. So as we see, for example, jack-up vessels are well adapted for bottom fixed application, not only for installation but also for maintenance. And then when we are discussing about floating wind applications, these jack-up vessels are not longer available. Actually, the jack-up vessel that we have today, and that is another one that is under development, the maximum depth is around 80 meters, so it's not suited for floating applications. So one of the challenges that these jack-up vessels have are the increasing water depth, of course, the wave height, the environmental conditions that we need to be aware to be able to deploy the jack vessel, the soil conditions, the geography that it has to have in the wind farm, the accessibility to the float, because we have different concepts today, different floaters, so these jack-up vessels they need a big clearance to access to the wind turbine. The crane height and the jacking time. So these are not really suited for floating applications. But additionally, for major component replacement, we have other challenges that arise. And that one is, for example, the weather windows that will be a bit more restricted, the distance to shore, as I already told, the water depth, the wind turbines, because some years ago we were just discussing about 5 megawatts turbines, and today we are already speaking about 20 megawatts turbines. So there are no cranes for these kind of turbines to install this kind of enormous wind turbines. The weight and the dimensions are also really important. For the floating foundation, as I just told, we have different concepts. So it's not the same to access semi-submersible as a spar or a TLP, for instance. The mooring system, today we have catenary, semi-taut, taut systems, so it won't be the same approach as well. Then the port infrastructure, some of the ports, they have the capabilities to do the major component replacement. Some of them just done, and this will be an issue, a challenge also. The availability of these kind of vessels, the jack-up vessels, or these vessels that are able to do lift at heights or more than 90 meters, 100 meters, are not available today. The relative and the swinging motions for some of these applications as well, and the environmental impact, because today as developers we are getting more and more requirements to look at the environmental impact that this kind of operations generate. So for the different replacement strategies that we have today, the current strategy is the tow to port. But as you can see, you have too many activities to do. So first you have to go to the site, then to do a reverse installation where you can damage your mooring lines, your dynamic cables, different components of your turbine. Then you have to tow into the port, do the major component replacement. If you have the MCR capabilities at port, then you have to tow out, do the reinstallation, and then do the transit to port again. So these operations, same for tow to shore. The difference with tow to shore is that you will put a jack-up vessel that is closer to shore. So these operations are lengthy, are costly, and they take a lot of time in terms of operation and in terms of maintenance. So the idea will be eventually for floating offshore wind, of course, to emerge to floating, to evolve, to floating and add-on cranes innovations. However, we think today as a developer that both strategies will have to coexist for a period of time. For the floating to floating, we have heavy lift vessels. So we have the transit to site, and the major challenge for this one is the motion compensated system. So you have the dynamic positioning, that is the control that allows you to stay on site no matter the waves, no matter the currents that you have. But additionally, you have to develop a control for the motion compensation system. And then once you have done the major replacement, you can do the transit to port again. And for the add-on cranes, we have multiple technologies. So the first technology is the self-hoisting crane. So usually you have a service crane on the top, and then you can the crane will crawl via those wires till the nozzle, and it will be mounted on the nozzle. And then the other one is the self-climbing crane, and that means that for those cranes, you will have to perform some modifications to the wind turbine. And the last category is the platform-based. So, for example, if you are using a semi-submersible, you can install the crane on one of the columns of the semi-submersible. But that means that you need some ballasting systems to counteract the weight of the system. So, to overcome all of these challenges and to gain knowledge about this, we have integrated 2 projects. The first project that we have integrated is Carbon Trust Floating Wind GIP, and that is called Major Component Exchange with Self-Hoisting Cranes. This program is in the stage 2 and phase 5 of the Carbon Trust, and it was developed by OWC and WEBEC. And as you see here, this is a program of developers. So all of us, we are 17 developers in total. And the objectives of the project were first to carry out a market review of self-hoisting and climbing cranes. So this will be focused only on the self-hoisting cranes and not on the platform base, this project. And then conduct an effective stakeholder management, not only with the crane developers of the shipping industry, but also with the turbine O&Ms, for example. Then undertake a technology risk and cost assessment of a short list that they have evaluated of different concepts, and review their respective potential in context to full operation within floating offshore wind farms. Here it's important to say that the evaluation that took place was, for example, regarding the TRL of these different technologies, also the modifications that they performed to the wind turbine, if they did, if they had some modifications, the different lifts that they could do, for example, blade exchange or gearbox or drivetrain. So this was an important issue. Not issue, but I mean, it was an important factor for the evaluation. Then, at the end, provide some recommendations based on respective findings regarding concepts selected, including barriers for successful implementation. Outline key technology barriers and propose potential solutions to overcome, and suggest next steps to commercial deployment, which may include demonstration of concepts within the commercial and operational environment. For example, at the end of the project, the idea will be that the companies provide some recommendations of at least 2 technologies that have successfully checked all the different boxes that we were required to. So yeah, this one is the first project that we are almost finishing the project. And I would just like to take the time to say that you will find a summary of the project, a small summary of the project in the Carbon Trust page in the following months. And then the other one is the Float-on project, so floating offshore wind turbines, operation and maintenance. This project is led by France Energy Marine, that is the French Institute of Energy Transition here in France. We are members of this institute. And this project was divided into 2 phases. The first one was the reduction of uncertainties during maintenance. So they developed a high-resolution probabilistic wind and wave forecasting system based on hindcast, based on data that we have in the Mediterranean Sea that are coming from some buoys. And then they use learning-based data-driven approaches. They use a neural network to do so, and they have been testing and comparing the results that they are obtaining with this model with the ARON model, for example, or with different models that we have currently in the market. And then the other part was the heavy lift maintenance solution. So the idea is to contribute to the creation of reliable and cost-effective assets for heavy lift maintenance. This project took a look also in the floating to floating. So we have floating to floating and self-hoisting crane or add-on cranes, and it took a look on both of them. And at the end, they perform also a stakeholder engagement and some evaluation of the different concepts. But after, we have chosen just one technology, and this technology will be used to do the simulations and then the basin tests, because we want to go a bit farther away with these technologies. And then finally provide some recommendations towards industry for the integration of maintenance strategies into turbine and floater design, and a method of statement also, because they have developed a methodology, and this is something that we will be using for our following projects. The partners of this project are France Energy Marine. We have 3 developers: SKYBORN, EDF, Official, Ifremer, where they will be doing the basin test, Sofricit, GIFMAR, IMT Atlantique, SBM Offshore, and INOC. And also the project was founded by the region of Brittany and the ANR. So those are the projects that we have involved, that we are involved today. And this one will be finishing in 2025 after we finish the basin test. So you will be having more information about the basin test in some years. Okay, so I just would like to do some closing remarks. The first one is several concepts are under development today, but there are some technical and I think major challenges. The first one is the compensation system. So for example, for the floating to floating is the motion compensation system that needs to have synergies with the dynamic positioning system. But for the add-on cranes, we still have the swinging motions. So the swinging motions are a major challenge. The modifications that these technologies are performing to the turbine are critical, because turbine developers are not open to do so today. So, and again, the compatibility with the turbine. For example, if it is a platform-based crane, that means that it will be only used for some types of concepts. Temporary working decks, because some of these technologies, they need to use some working decks, or they need to have a laydown area to storage for example, the spare parts of some parts of the cranes. And then we have, of course, the insurability or risk mitigation issue, and also the bankability of these kind of technologies. Today, we don't have a consensus in the industry, and I think the contractors, and not only the contractors, but the ports also, they need a clear vision to be able to engage in this kind of investment. And now developing this kind of technology requires a huge investment. So who should fund these projects? The shipping industry, the developers, the offshore crane companies, or it should be something jointly? And last but not least, is there today, or will be there, a solution that can actually meet all the requirements for the different floating offshore turbine concepts that we have today? And yeah, so that's it for me. And I'm open to questions if you have something. Thank you.
Yeah.